Hello and welcome to Seven Story Publishing with Lisa Jakovsky. I am here today with author Jalen Tellis. How are you doing today?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great, Mom. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to talk about your book. Can you tell us about it and your inspiration for it?
Okay. So my book Incursion that came out this year, March 25th. It is
Congrats.
thank you. Thank you so much. It is a sci-fi mystery thriller that is about a YouTube conspiracy theorist named Rodney Morrison that is on a quest to investigate a missing ufologist named Timothy Hall. And what he finds, Riley, he finds out that there is a potential alien invasion that is set to invade Earth in 10 days.
That's really interesting. What inspired you to write that?
Um, so really, if I'll be honest, there wasn't really any inspiration, like anything with like the media or any books. It was just because I've been before being a published author, I've always written like homemade stories at home or when growing up. And that's how I fell in love with writing stories. And I always had this idea of wanting to make a sci-fi story that involved with aliens. And it always like I was very obsessed with it because I had this idea since I was 14 years old, and it's been in my mind for a long time. And just the thought of having a grounded sci-fi story that evolved with somebody finding evidence of real life alien activities and really bring that into the real world and to really see how that goes with this main character that we're in and the journey that the story goes and how the narrative can really affect either the audience or the reader. And I didn't really know how was I going to tell the story, but when I became when I became a published author, I'm like, okay, yes, this story needs to be heard.
That's so awesome. I love that idea, and I definitely understand where you're coming from. As a creative, I feel like we walk around with stories in our head, and just it's whenever it works that we got to get it out.
Yeah.
Is this your first published book?
No, is my second. This is my debut novel. I've written a novella first. That was my first published book. It was Samurai Reborn, the Black Samurai. It is a fantasy story that involves with a black lead about a samurai, black samurai who goes on a vengeful quest to avenge his village and his dead father.
Uh-huh. Very cool. What are the differences between a novel and novella?
Um, I would say with a novella is really just it's like of course the main difference is like the length of it is very shorter than novel. But I really think a novella is like you take this limitation of the length and really like be more creative with it and really like structure a pacing wise to create such of a small narrative that really works with it. And with a novel is where you are expanding a story so much. It's like you're gonna add more characters, add more world building, really bring that story to life and really bring such of a rawness to it. And same thing with a novella, but it's more like you don't have to, and that like how much you can do with a novel, with a novella, you can really um expand it where like it could be a little bit more shortened. And when I done the novella, I already knew that this story couldn't really be longer. I knew the pacing, I knew the structure. That's why I didn't really want to expand it because I knew this story was already great as it was. And yes, it could be. I feel like any novellas can be novels, just depending on the writer itself. But I just think like depending on both differences between a novel and novella is really I think it's really just how the writer really wants the story to be. If they want it to be longer, they could. Shorter, they can.
I think that's awesome. And I like how you describe the differences because I think the novella thing is pretty new, especially with Amazon putting it out there. But I think you are really telling people that they can do this. if they want to write something, it doesn't have to be super long like that. They can do the novella instead, and it would be something that can come out and still make them a published author. So I love how you described that. I think that was awesome, and I think it's really gonna inspire some people too.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Like doesn't matter a novel novella, you're still a writer. You're still writing a story. No matter if it's short, longer, doesn't really like as a self-published author, as self-publishing, you can write anything you want. You can write a 5-page story, a 2-page story, you can. Like it doesn't there are no limits in this because no matter what, you're writing a story.
Exactly. And I think that is super inspiring as well because, some people think that, oh, I can't do it or, it's too hard. So I love the fact that you have both and you can show people you can still do it too.
Of course. Thank
Can
you.
you take us through your process of writing your novel? How did that look? And how long
Um,
did it take to write it?
okay. Good question. Good question. Well, when I write my stories, I
Mhm.
have this like of course every writer has a routine. My routine is where I do 4 sessions of writing, where each session I write for about 25 minutes. And after that, I take a 5-minute break. And then I do keep doing it until the 4 sessions are up. And with Incursion, I wrote every day with those 4 sessions. So like I usually write about an hour or two, just depending on where I'm at, how I'm feeling with writing the process. And I have a set deadline. I wrote the first draft of Incursion last year in February, and I had a set. I think self-published authors, I think they should have their own deadline, just because to really like be more responsible and more organized with themselves and writing a story. And I put my deadline as June 1st. So March, April, May, the 4 months, 3.5 months of writing it, but I finished it in April
Amazing.
because I was so deep into it. I was enjoying the process of it, and I was just having fun. I was loving the whole thing about it, and it was very great. I feel like since this story was in my mind for so long that it was so. I think this was my most easiest story to write because of how much I really dealt with it for a long time. And not saying it was easy, like it was hard. It was definitely there were struggles with it, of course, but like just the process of it, it was so much like I had fun with it. It was the most greatest experience ever. And plus it was my first novel. So I got to experience writing a full length novel for the first time, and it was a great experience.
I think that's amazing. I loved a lot of what you said, but I especially love the fact that you said it was easy and fun because that's how it should be. You shouldn't force yourself to write. You should really enjoy it. And I love the fact that you do sessions like that. I think that's really inspiring too, because I talk to authors and they're like, oh, I'm going on a writing retreat. I'm doing this. And I'm just like, how do you do that? How do you balance things and how do you kind of get it out when, you don't know if you're getting inspiration or not. So I think that's amazing. That's really awesome, and it definitely sounds like you really enjoyed writing the book so much. And that's why it was easy for you to get out and write. That's really, really cool.
Thank you
How
so
has the reception been to it?
much. Great. It was I was surprised. If I'm being honest, it was so surprising because, of course, every author.
Positive surprise.
Yeah, it was like every author has this like this nerve where like, man, I'm scared
Exactly.
that like it. And I said it before is that as a writer, as an author, you're going to experience bad reviews. That is going to happen. You can't avoid it. You can't even you can't. But of course, you just have to take it in and really improve yourself each story you write. And you can never escape bad reviews. It's going to happen either way. And I was nervous on like how the story was so different, how I structured the story. And
Yeah.
when I first sent it over to my beta readers, and I was shocked that they loved it. Like it was like so like them saying that this story was amazing it broke my confidence way up. Like,
Oh,
okay, this is going to be amazing. And even though, of course, they gave me cons too, they gave me something to prove on, of course. But just the fact that they said this is like one of them said that this is the best thriller, sci-fi thriller I read in a long time, and it was really like it gave me confidence. It gave me all that nervousness went away instantly. And even with my team, my when I did RSCs,
yeah.
still gotten a lot of great reviews on it too. And of course, I'm bad too, but mostly good. And it really brought me like, yes, this is what I did. This is why I do what I do. Writing. This is what I do. It really brings people together, reading the story that they have their own perception on how the story can feel. Because my intentions is this. My intentions is when I write my stories, I want to make my readers feel something. To feel. I know every person is different. How they perceive a book is differently. So I like now it's up to you on how you feel about the story. And when you turn that last page, it's like your first reaction is how you felt when reading
Yeah.
this book. And this story was wow, you know, and probably would make you read it again, different times. Like maybe you have a different idea, different perception of how you want to read the story again. So that's kind of why I love it, because like it can really bring a discussion to a story with readers.
100%. And you said so many amazing things. First, I'm so happy and excited that they loved it like that. That makes me want to read it because that's my kind of a book too. So that's why I was like, oh, this is really awesome. um, but also, I love the fact that you were talking about the nerves, because anytime you publish anything, you get nervous. And, having those beta readers, those ARC readers, it really boosts your confidence. And I think that support is really important when you are an author, because you want more than just your family and friends to like it, because of course they're going to like it no matter what,
Yeah.
but you really want that honesty too. Is that your favorite thing about being an author?
Of course, and I just feel like as an author, you have to take honesty, criticism. Like I'm
Yeah.
always up for it. I'm not perfect. I know each book I write, I will always be better. I will always get approved. And I just know that let me know. Please tell me what I need to do to improve. Because that's how much I care about putting my books to life. I want to do better. And of course, just how you say it, little thing, of course, but just let me know so that I can improve this. Because when I work with my team, like with my editors, my readers, we're all just together. You're the reason why this story is going good, because you are bringing your side into it, and not just me. I want you to be a collaborative in this with me. And as an author, I feel like it's so great from hearing different perspectives, because again, it's different people say the same things
Mhm.
like that. And it's good to really bring, of course, my family will always like my books, everything, but it's always good to like hear a
Back.
stranger from like the outside, that like the outside perspective,
Uh-huh.
and I just feel like, with the nerves, of course, every author will have it. And just hearing even with my new book that's coming out next year, I'm nervous. I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous. I'm nervous as heck right now. Like, I'm scared to see what people will think of it. But of course, like with my beta readers that read it, and my friend who read it, they enjoyed it. Of course, they gave me some improvements to work on. Like, it's amazing.
You've got such a good attitude about this. That is so inspiring to other authors, because I feel like there's so much anxiety around it. But if, like you said, if you're open to the improvements, that's how we grow and evolve, not just as authors, but as people too. I think this is incredible. That is super inspiring to other authors. And I'm so excited you got another book coming. We're going to get to that too. But I definitely can't wait to see what the reception is to this, because we need to hear more stuff like this, where there's a good, there's always a negative, but it's how you handle it that really helps.
Of course.
What is the hardest thing for you about being an author?
The hardest thing, that's a great question. That's a
Yeah,
great
I love
question
asking that one.
about being an author.
Take your time. There's always a couple specific ones I like asking authors.
The hardest thing about being an author, definitely, I this is from my experience. Definitely being your worst critic. I feel like for me, it has been difficult for me because I have so much. We're always in our heads a lot every day. With me, like I have so much ideas that's going on my head so much that it's hard for me to like pick which idea works. Because again, even though I have good attitude with this, but of course I still have these thoughts about what story speaks to me, like what story helps me, wants me to write. Because I let my stories unfold itself. I let my stories I follow them. No, I follow my stories. I let my stories lead me, because if I'm in the lead, then it won't grow, and I won't learn anything from it. I have to let my stories lead me in a way where, as if I'm in that world that I created with these characters, with these people that I've written. And with myself, is there's so much things I want to do, so much stuff I want to write, that it makes me overwhelmed in a way, where because I'm so in my mind a lot, where I have to like take a break and like take a step back and do things one at a time. And I think that's what I think that's what some writers are struggling with, how they perceive themselves as writers, how they perceive a good story. Because I think when first time writers be like, I want to write a good story that would be perfect. I think that's kind of what the wrong thing, the wrong mindset. Like, don't try to make the perfect novel. Just try to make the story that you love a lot, because no matter what, someone's gonna love your story out there. There's so many people. There's so much people in the world that one or five people gonna love it. And it's just this currently battle with yourself, with your mind, because you are wanting to do great, wanting to make stories. And I feel like as authors, we should just take a few steps back. Mind you, we're human. We're not AI. we're not robots. We're not machines. We're human. So treat yourself as a human and really take a step back and take a break and take a breather and pick certain things one at a time and be within the present.
That is such amazing advice too. And it's so funny because I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I've been going through. Trying to figure out, because so many stories are jumbled in my head. And what you say about letting the story lead, that's how I write, but we just instinctively compare ourselves. And I've done that before too. That's why I like asking about like your process, like how do you do it? You make so much sense. You literally just helped me. I love it.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, like this is really inspiring. And I think it's going to really help a lot of authors because, like you said, we're creatives. We have so much going on in our head, but we really do sometimes need to take a step back and realize our process is different. And I love how you said, let the story lead you. That's what I feel like is the best way to do it. Let the inspiration come, let it take you where you want to go and immerse yourself. I feel like those are the best books to read is when the author really does that with them. That's amazing. I love it. What does being a successful author look like to you?
Being able to just bring stories to life. I just think it's one of the most greatest things I've ever done in my life. I literally just create stories, just creating things that was in my head, just bringing them on paper, just is great. And of course, doing this full time, well, right now it's part time, but the dream of doing this full time, writing these stories as a actual real life career, and doing what I love to do, and bringing a different voice into the literary genre, and bringing a new perspective in modern literature is one of the most my all time goals. I feel like everybody just needs a different. I feel like everybody is trying to be someone else, trying to be the same thing, rather than just rely on your own voice. Bring your voice to life, because we need the different voices and different perspective in writing. Because if everything is the same thing, then it's not going to feel unique, no rawness. So for me, it's just I just want to bring a different eye into it and really expand it in a way where it is more versatile, variety in a sense like that.
I 100% agree with you. That's kind of like what's going on with movies. It's kind of like the same thing. Like everything is the same, or they're doing remakes. And I agree with you. We need more originality. And I love the ideas behind your novella and your novel. I think we need different things like that. And you're just really inspiring. Like, I'm really excited for this interview to come out because people need to hear this stuff, especially like future authors, future writers, because you always hear like it's hard to get into, it's hard to sell, marketing is hard. But, if it's something you really love, you have to go after it.
Exactly.
What made you decide to publish now? Because I know you've been writing since you were a kid, but why was now the right time to do it?
Well, because I'm older. I pretty couldn't do anything when I was a kid, but yeah, I'm older, and I feel like because before an author, I was a director. I directed short films, like before then, and I guess when I directed my last film, I was writing my first book, which was my novella, and I just guess after writing that and being able to do this for the first time ever, it really brought that spark back. Like, my God, this is what my kid self was dreamed of, wanted to be an author, and that's why I made the choice when transitioning to being from a director to an author, because this is what I really love to do. And I like doing it now. It's like I'm not gonna wait tomorrow, the next week, next year. Like, do it now. That fear wasn't even there. I was just excited. I was happy. Until I got to learn a lot about publishing, about like literature, writing, editing, all these things that I've learned as I went. And of course, there were mistakes that were made. Of course, there were errors, trials, but all of that was needed. Like, I needed that. I needed to learn those things to really become better. As of right now, I feel like I'm so much better as a writer than I was when I first wrote my first book. I've known so much. I known a lot better, and it's crazy because I'm only going to learn a lot more in the next few more years, and that's what kind of like makes me, man, it's going to be amazing. Like, I'm already know so much, but I'm going to learn a lot more.
Exactly.
And I feel like with my advice to aspiring writers is don't be afraid on waiting. Don't be afraid of writing that book. Do it now, because time is gonna move no matter what, and it's gonna move with or without you. So either you don't want to and just let time be first and you be behind, or do it now while you're still here on Earth.
I 100% agree with you. And I love the fact that you're saying this. You're saying so many things that others need to hear, and especially right now, we've got the younger generation dealing with post pandemic stuff. And, it's hard on them. So they really need the inspiration right now to realize they can go after their dreams, because
Exactly.
that's huge. People will go into fields and get degrees just to make money, but they're not happy. We need more people coming out like you that are talking this way, that are inspiring others and encouraging others to go out there and live their dreams. I am so excited. This is really awesome.
Thank you so much.
Can you tell us about your next project? Is it a sequel book? Is it going to be a standalone book? I'm
Yes,
excited to hear about this.
it is original. It is a horror novel. A horror.
Ooh, from sci-fi to horror. That's a pretty interesting lead. I like that.
Yeah, so it actually, I have it right. I have it, my copy right here. I got to read it.
Oh, we get a sneak peek too.
Is right here.
Oh, look at that cover.
Thank
That's
you so much.
cool.
Thank you. It
Oh,
actually be behind closed eyes. It is a horror novel. I'll tell you the plot base since I already did it before. It's about a best-selling author, Malik Johnson, whose wife has been who went missing, and during that time, there's this ongoing killer that's on the loose called the Reaper, and Malik fears that his wife, it may be tied to it since the killer is on the loose. So now that's already being like him experiencing guilt, fear, and just these grief of his wife missing. And the more he looks into it, it's the more that he really finds the truth on who the Reaper really is, as more layered, and all of that is going to unfold a lot in that sense.
Ooh, it's like a horror thriller going on.
It really is, and definitely this one is because I grew up watching horror my whole life. So this definitely is my love letter to horror, because on how much horror influence a lot of like pop culture things in the world, and how it influenced me as a writer to like bring the emotional depth into it. And I feel like this story is definitely gonna be much different, and it's gonna bring a lot more. It's very unique, very raw, very
Ooh.
because it says a tragic tale, because it is a tragic tale. It's a very tragic story, and I think people are going to really love it. I hope people love it, but I think this story is gonna really open a lot of eyes for the sense of that, because it does talk about a lot of vague topics that really people like. It really bring into a discussion in a sense.
Ooh.
I wish I could say more about it. I wish I can, but I can't.
No, but still, you can come back on when it actually is published and tell us more about it. And why do we have to wait till next year? That's awesome.
Because fun fact, because when I wrote this last year in October, there was meant to be out this year in October, but I recently just pushed it back because I wanted to really have more space for my books. Because I don't want my readers to be overwhelmed by the releases. So yeah, this book is gonna be out next year in February 10th.
Amazing. You got to contact me again to come back on and talk about it. I'm excited. I think that was smart too. Then you can focus on one at a time. It looks awesome.
Thank you. I designed it myself, the cover.
Really? That's why it looks really awesome. Because I feel like so many people are using AI today for this stuff. Like that looks just really cool and different. It makes you want to read it. Like, ooh, what is that?
And just with the whole AI thing, I know.
You can talk about it after, trust me. We have about 2 more minutes. Do you want to tell us where we can find your book, where we can find you, social media, website, all that fun stuff?
Of course. My books is on Amazon, Barnes Noble, any other online retail bookshops is there. Ebooks as well, Kindle. And my website is jalentellisbooks.com. And my socials, I only use Facebook, Threads, and Instagram, which is my Instagram and Threads is my name, but official, like a lowercase, Jalen Tellis official. And it's where I'll be there mostly of the time. I don't like using a lot of social medias. It's overwhelming to like control. I only basically use Instagram and Threads, mostly of my most primary stuff. Facebook, I have like cross-platform, right? Instagram, like I can like post. Basically, like it's an option where like I post on Instagram and that I can just cross-post from the app to Facebook and Threads, which is great, amazing. That, I don't have to touch Facebook at all. I just here we go, send.
Amazing. Any last thoughts you want to tell us about before we finish up?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me, and it's been a great talk, great discussion about books and writing, and just advices for other young authors that's going to be out.
Thank you so much for being here. I could have just kept going, to be honest. So this was amazing. You are really inspiring, and I'm really, really excited about your books. I'm going to check them out after this.
Thank you so much.
I'm especially excited for your horror book, because that's one of my favorites.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But you are amazing, Jalen. You're super inspiring to other authors too. So I'm really, really excited. And I'm really glad that you came on, because we need more people like you coming out and inspiring others to follow their dreams like that.
Thank you so much. And I just hope every author, writer that wants to do that as a career. I really hope you guys succeed in life and really don't be afraid of the future, the risks. Take the risks and just go for it, because people need to hear your voice.
That is literally the most perfect thing ever that you could say to people. Thank you so, so much for that, Jalen Tellis, author. And thank you so much for being here with us in 7 Story Publishing. Thank you again, author Jalen Tellis.
Thanks so much, guys.